Hello, my name is Georg Fassl. I am an architect formerly researching and teaching at the ATTP, where I have founded the Daedalus Observatory, a space for architectonic research on the mobile and immobile. In speaking to you, I am glad to present a publication dealing with the past and future of the observatory's activities. Since opening this space 4 years ago in Vienna, 76 students of architecture and I were engaged in 3 courses and over a period of 6 semesters in work inspired by abstract thought and the contingency of contemporary life, investigating what we called present, mobile yet immobile character. And this research, advised by Vera Bühlmann and supported by Patrick Apprent, crystallized in the now finished same-titled research series. Throughout this period, we published our work in 3 reports from a Daedalian perspective, the critical and inventive perspective of an architect trying to make not one point, but many of them. In that manner, also this publication, collecting from and augmenting those prior volumes with additional outputs of the research, texts and talks, repeats, adds up, and densifies certain elements, speaks sometimes to you and other times more for itself. Maybe some of its entries do not even make sense just on their own, but surely find meaning in their togetherness with others, as in a building, emphasizing certain directions and strengthening thereby the whole. This is our final volume. Let me introduce you briefly to some of its contents and to how it is conceived. The first and the last of the prior volumes, the report on the mobile and the report on the immobile, were inverse to each other, each comprising a series of corresponding quests. You will also find them next to each other in this book. And the first of those, appearing second in this volume, was called Measurements and Unmeasurements. Here an excerpt from the brief. Observation and speculation are 2 techniques able to show information on the very same subject. However, the 2 are conceived very differently, producing 2 valid but mostly distinct measurements of the same thing. Our aim in this opening task was to exercise both of them and to see if and when they might even fall together. Working on both reports, we did not start from nothing, but from a collection of voices, historical as well as contemporary, expressing the respective concept, mobile or immobile, in diverse tones, global and vernacular. And for the second assignment, we took the most prominent terms articulated in those collections, treasured them, and reflected thereby on how they connect, or how they could connect, with present times, building up an open thesaurus of visual indices. Backed up by this plenty, we started to work on architectonic articulations, remembering and circulating those stories as well as the possible spaces, objects, and life connected to them. First, we dealt with spaces. I quote again from the brief. Take another look into the cloud of mobile or immobile voices. Turn the pages, first without order and plan, read by snatches, and collect phrases and sentences meaningful. Start to bring them in relation. Let them speak to each other, exchange them, try new arrangements, find a way to deal with them, and go on until you are content with the result, respectively, till you have mapped the space of mobility or immobility. Then we invented mobilizing and immobilizing objects, once a vessel and the other time a pedestal, exploring and testing their shared double role as a placeholder as well as something that is held at the place itself. And lastly, we mixed up our thesauri and created novel composites of 2 terms, developing a mobile yet immobile glossary of contemporary life. Until now, the Daedalus Observatory has been our workspace and lookout, a space to explore and invent. But with the end of our research series, we moved out and left behind this volume, a publication that combines our investigative work with the second ambition of this endeavor, namely to think and develop new forms of teaching and learning architecture, turning from a paradigm of production to one of communication. Hence, it is in this sense that this book is thought to be an artifact itself, one that sounds, has a voice, mobilizing not just the research, but also the format of the observatory as the communicative space it was. A few words on that. Research in architectural education, architecture at large, as well as a majority of arts and sciences alike, was in the last years mainly conducted in two kinds of setup: in laboratories or in the field. Speaking abstractly, laboratories operate placeless by cutting out their object of study. The field research operates inversely by immersing oneself in the environment of one's interest. And also since some time now, this development is followed by a third kind, which aims to mix both of them, bringing them in a cycle of problem finding and solving, a site of knowledge production. The Daedalus Observatory is the proposal to broaden this range, itself mediating between the experiment as a practice of looking for the unforeseen and the field study as a practice of looking at what is right in front of you. The Daedalus Observatory aims to re-establish a way of seeing that is passive yet active. Operating from a relative placelessness, the observatory, in line with others of its kind, looks out to stars, climates, cultures, and more. To cosmos, order. A central notion of architecture dating back as far as to Daedalus, Greece's mythical first architect. Daedalus, the patron of our observatory, who did not just create labyrinths and wings, but also built sculptures so lively that they had to be tied down in order not to run away. The third and bridging course in the series, a design studio, dealt with sculptures of such kind, seeking thereby to embody chance and necessity in contemporary figures of purposefulness, mobile statues. And this volume is of a similar nature. I welcome you to take a closer look and take a step into the Daedalus Observatory. You can find it on daedalusobservatory.net.